there is a lot of changes going on right now in the world. I mean, there's a lot of heavy energy as well. I mean, we have the Roe versus Wade, we have COVID, we have the wars going on, we have a bunch of different like life changes, and including in our personal lives. I mean, maybe some of us are going through breakups, or we're having family issues, financial issues. I think we can all agree that there's a lot of stimulation going on in the whole world right now, going through our nervous systems. And it's important to understand ourselves through this. It's important to regulate those feelings and those emotions, because the intensity of the world, it's probably not going to slow down anytime soon. And rather than trying to deny it and run away from it, we can befriend these emotions instead. So before we get started, I am going to go ahead and walk us through a very short meditation, just so that we can become aware of our thoughts. Because as we're going through these growing pains, self-awareness is the first step. So everybody, wherever you are, if it's safe, go ahead and just close your eyes. If you are somewhere where you can't close your eyes, just take a moment to just really focus on your mind, the sensations in your body, and just go ahead and take a deep breath in and let it out. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And one more. And exhale. And now I just want you to focus on the sensations in your body. Where do you feel tension stored in your body? And what does the tension feel like? Does it feel numb? Is it a tingling sensation? Is it pain? Does it feel like nervousness or anxiety? Maybe do you even feel the adrenaline rushing through your veins, because maybe you're always in go, go, go mode. Just become aware of the feelings in your body. And now I want you to think about your aura. What does your aura feel like? Does it feel safe, secure, balanced? Does it feel like there's holes in it? What's its shape? What colors are in it? And those feelings that are bundled up in certain areas that I described earlier, why are they there? What caused them to be there? What are they here to tell you? Lastly, can you be friends with these feelings? Can you accept them first before you shoo them away? What are they trying to tell you? Now just take a moment to take a few deep breaths in and slowly come back to the room. Become aware of your surroundings. Slowly, gently, allow yourself to come back and become aware of the other sensations around you. And open your eyes. So, how did you guys feel prior to starting the call? And now, after walking through that little slow exercise, do you feel calmer? Do you feel more worried, maybe? Do you feel relieved? Either way, I think we can all agree that in that short period, we became aware of not just like the physical sensations in our body, but maybe the emotions that we've been feeling and the thoughts that have been going through our mind without us realizing it. As I said, we are just in a period of being overstimulated with everything going on in the world and in our personal lives. And it's important that we become friends with the things around us and the things that's going on inside of us, because it's not going to stop anytime soon. So rather than running away, we can learn to grow with these things, to let these changes come and let them go without any attachment. Because most of our pain is more emotional. It's more in our mind than it is a physical pain. We become emotionally attached to the things around us, to think that's happening to us. And that causes more suffering than the actual event. So, with all these changes going on in our world, in our personal lives, in our business, today Jaden and I, we're going to talk about growing pains. And she's going to start you guys off with a really nice quote that she shared with me prior to this call. And she's going to also talk about emotional agility, what it is, why it's important. The mic is yours, Jaden.
Thank you, Maya. So a lot of the stuff that I got today is from Sarah David. She's one of my favorites. She's a psychologist. She talks a lot about emotional agility. So in a sense, we go through a lot, right? Just as people in general. But and basically the world like never stops. It's going to keep going whether you choose to lay down or whether you choose to keep rolling with it. And that's the key with emotional agility, is taking those emotions and using them as like a tool for your nervous system and recognizing it and separating yourself from it and using it the same way that you would Like, say that you got a cut in your leg and it's like you get a signal to your brain, or you have a stomach ache and you get a signal to your brain. See it the same way. When you get upset, you have a signal that goes off in your brain. It's telling you you're sad or you're frustrated or you're angry or you're happy, you're excited, you know? And so you want to take that and acknowledge it and realize what it's there for in the first place. So the quote that I shared with Maya, it's actually like a greeting, and it's Salvana. And Salvana means I see you, and by seeing you, I bring you into being. And I think it's such a beautiful way of acknowledging someone and realizing that they are human and that you see them. And the bigger question is, what does it take in the way that we see ourselves, in our thoughts, in our emotions, and in our stories that help us to thrive in an increasingly complex world? Because how we deal with our inner world drives everything. It drives every aspect of how we love, how we live, how we parent, how we lead. And the conventional view of emotions as either good or bad is really rigid, and it can be toxic. And rigidity in the face of complexity is toxic. And the greater levels of emotional agility that we can have, the more resilient we'll be and the more thriving that we will be. And so by doing this, you have to accept the full weight of your grief. And when you're surrounded by toxic positivity and that type of culture that values relentless positivity, it's harder to believe that anyone actually wants to know what's going on, but a lot of people actually do. And that's what emotional agility is here for, to acknowledge your emotions and to understand that there are people out there who don't believe that you should just push them aside, because it's the same thing as like pushing aside like say that there's a piece of cake left over in your fridge, and the more you try to ignore it, the stronger the feeling gets and the more you want it. So you can't just push things aside, because psychologically it's known to grow stronger. So this is why you use your emotional agility to acknowledge these things, realize what they're coming to you for and what they mean, and moving forward with it. So I call these growing pains, because no matter what you're going through, it could hurt. And if it doesn't hurt, it'll feel good for a while, but nothing lasts. Everything is always fall into entropy, meaning that nothing is ever going to stick. So when you're going through growing pains, it's good to acknowledge that you're not going to be there, but it's also toxic to just jump to solutions. So you want to recognize what's bringing it about and using it as a learning experience to grow forward. So basically what I'm trying to say is, no matter how hard things get, trust that it was worth experiencing for you. Even if you don't understand why yet, you will later when other things come to you, and you'll be grateful for your growth, because even if it's something you didn't want or didn't expect to happen for or to you, you're being pushed to make room for what's truly meant for you, because you never would have let it go otherwise. And so you can either get left behind and just sit down and just let it consume you, or you can take advantage of the experience and see it from a different perspective, and using your experience as fuel to power you through it. Because things don't get easier, things don't stop happening to you. It's that you get stronger and you get better with dealing with things. So you want to move beyond the emotion of denial and about the lack mindset, and you want to get into emotional agility, because life's beauty is inseparable from its fragility. And life can be very beautiful. Like, you can walk down the street thinking that you're so sexy until one day you realize that no one's even staring at you. Or you can be the healthiest person in the world until you're diagnosed with something that brings you to your knees. Life's beauty is inseparable from its fragility. And the only thing that's certain is uncertainty. So this is why you want to get better with dealing and understanding your emotions and why they're coming to you and what they are showing you. And the World Health Organization says that depression is the leading cause of disability globally. It outbeats cancer, it outbeats heart disease, it outbeats everything. Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. And in the world today, especially with everything going on, there's A lot of people who have a tendency to brew on their feelings or to have rigid responses to their emotions or to be hooked on being right, to be victimized because of the news feed, or just bottle up their feelings and push them aside. And this creates a world of toxic positivity because we think that we can't share our emotions and we think that they're not good, and emotions are very helpful to us. And the other thing, like I said earlier, is that emotions that are pushed aside will get stronger. So the more you ignore it, the bigger it's going to get. And they are going to control you, whether you're realizing it or not, because this falls back into the subconscious mind that I mentioned last week, because your internal pain will always come out, whether you choose to acknowledge it and take control over the way that it comes out and what you decide to put the meaning on it to be, or it'll come out unintentionally to the people around you that pay the price, which could be your children, your colleagues, your community, your family. And it comes out in triggers. And this is why it's so important to know what triggers you and why it triggers you, because there's a reason that this emotion comes up. So until you actually acknowledge it and work through it and write about it, talk to people with experience who know how to handle that and why it's happening to you, until you can get down to the root of why it's happening and what you can do to move forward, it's going to keep coming out to the people that are around you. So that's why it's so toxic to put aside these normal emotions and to see emotions as good or bad, because they are never good or bad. It's just an emotion that's coming to you. It's a signal. It's from your nervous system, which is why, like, for instance, in the nervous system, excitement and nervous, it's the same chemical reaction in your body. It's just a matter of how you perceive it. So the nerves, like being nervous, getting those butterflies, it's the same thing when you're excited. It's just how you're choosing to perceive the emotion that's coming to you. Same thing as a stomach ache. Maya, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to just like hop in here. This is kind of like unplanned, but I just wanted to tell a personal story really quick where Jaden actually taught me this. So, the great thing about being very forward about what your feelings are, no matter if they're like joy or if it's anxiety. I was about to sell some hair products to somebody who came to me. They're like, hey, I want to support your business. Put me on. And I texted Jaden. I was freaking out. I was like, Jaden, I'm scared in all caps. And she was like, why, bestie? And I was like, because this person wants to buy products from me. And she's like, that's a good thing. You deserve abundance. Give them what they need. And I was like, I don't know why I'm so scared. And she was like, anxiety and excitement are the same feelings. You just have to change your mindset around it. And so that just goes to show that, like, we really do need to make friends with our nervous system, because I was freaking out for whatever reason. But then when I, became friends with those feelings, like, okay, body, like I can feel the adrenaline. I am sweating so much right now, but I am safe. This is okay for me to feel because I'm excited. That's the reason why my body is this way. And I'm nervous because this is new to me, but that's okay. But we're going to do the thing anyway. And then guess what? I closed the sale because it's just changing your mindset, becoming friends with your emotions and the things that happen in your life. And I also like that you brought up, Jaden, that like it, we have to really be honest about how we feel, because something that one of my mentors taught me is that we can never outperform our internal image, our internal self image. We will never be able to outperform that. So if we can become aware of what we're feeling, be friends with it, then we can act out externally the same way. Like when we have that, when our internal image is congruent with our external image, then it just moves a lot easier rather than trying to fight against what you're actually feeling. It's important that we study ourselves in 360 degrees because, like Tamara even said in the chat, being aware of what triggers us, it helps us move more confidently. It helps us just, I don't know, to become more aware of who we are, and self-awareness is key, especially in entrepreneurship. We have to know ourselves more than ever. um, the last quote that I wanted to share before I let you move on is, I can bear any pain as long as it has meaning. And so I think a lot of us in this community are, we have a faith in something higher, whether if it's Jesus or if it's Buddha, whoever, spirit, life, Mother Nature, whatever. If we really do believe in this higher power, we need to trust that everything in our life has meaning. So that is one way that we can make friends with the things that we don't understand, whether if it's these bodily sensations, these emotions, these events that's going on in our lives we don't understand. At least we can trust that what we're feeling, it has a meaning, and it's here for us to experience and figure out why and learn from.
That's very true. And that's exactly like what was like kind of tying into my last point too, is that like your their emotions are there to help you learn. And the reason that we go through the things that we go through and why my experiences are different than Maya's or Tamara's is because we get our experiences or our own personal growth. And there's a reason that they're coming to you because it's highlighting an area that you needed to grow in. And that's why things are significant to you and not the other person. And that's why things happen for you and not the other person, because this is something that you needed in your life personally to help you grow as a person. And that's why all of our experiences are so unique from each other's. And when you push aside these emotions and you don't acknowledge them and you don't accept them for what they are, you lose your ability to deal with the world as it is and not as you wish it to be. And so I'm going to wrap this up by playing the end of a video by Sarah David. And she kind of goes a little bit deeper into emotional agility and how to control your emotions, essentially. So I'm going to share this screen really quick.
I've had hundreds of people tell me what they don't want to feel. They say things like, I don't want to try because I don't want to feel disappointed. Or I just want this feeling to go away. I understand, I say to them, but you have dead people's goals. Only dead people never get unwanted or inconvenienced by their feelings. Only dead people never get stressed, never get broken hearts, never experience the disappointment that comes with failure. Tough emotions are part of our contract with life. You don't get to have a meaningful career or raise a family or leave the world a better place without stress and discomfort. Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. So how do we begin to dismantle rigidity and embrace emotional agility? As that young schoolgirl, when I leaned into those blank pages, I started to do away with feelings of what I should be experiencing, and instead started to open my heart to what I did feel: pain and grief and loss and regret. Research now shows that the radical acceptance of all of our emotions, even the messy, difficult ones, is the cornerstone to resilience, thriving, and true, authentic happiness. But emotional agility is more than just an acceptance of emotions. We also know that accuracy matters. In my own research, I found that words are essential. We often use quick and easy labels to describe our feelings. I'm stressed is the most common one I hear. But there's a world of difference between stress and disappointment, or stress and that knowing dread of I'm in the wrong career. When we label our emotions accurately, we are more able to discern the precise cause of our feelings. And what scientists call the readiness potential in our brain is activated, allowing us to take concrete steps. But not just any steps, the right steps for us. Because our emotions are data. Our emotions contain flashing lights to things that we care about. We tend not to feel strong emotion to stuff that doesn't mean anything in our worlds. If you feel rage when you read the news, that rage is a signpost perhaps that you value equity and fairness, and an opportunity to take active steps to shape your life in that direction. When we are open to the difficult emotions, we are able to generate responses that are values aligned. But there's an important caveat. Emotions are data, they are not directives. We can show up to and mine our emotions for their values without needing to listen to them. Just like I can show up to my son in his frustration with his baby sister, but not endorse his idea that he gets to give her away to the first stranger he sees in a shopping mall. We own our emotions, they don't own us. When we internalize the difference between how I feel in all my wisdom and what I do in a values-aligned action, we generate the pathway to our best selves via our emotions. So what does this look like in practice? When you feel a strong, tough emotion, don't race for the emotional exits. Learn its contours, show up to the journal of your hearts. What is the emotion telling you? And try not to say I am as in I am angry or I am sad. When you say I am, it makes you sound as if you are the emotion, whereas you are you and the emotion is a data source. Instead, try to notice the feeling for what it is. I'm noticing that I'm feeling sad, or I'm noticing that I'm feeling angry. These are essential skills for us, our families, our communities. They're also critical to the workplace. In my research, when I looked at what helps people to bring the best of themselves to work, I found a powerful key contributor: individualized consideration. When people are allowed to feel their emotional truth, engagement, creativity, and innovation flourish in the organization. Diversity isn't just people, it's also what's inside people, including diversity of emotion. The most agile, resilient individuals, teams, organizations, families, communities are built on an openness to the normal human emotions. It's this that allows us to say, what is my emotion telling me? Which action will bring me towards my values? Which will take me away from my values? Emotional agility is the ability to be with your emotions with curiosity, compassion, and especially the courage to take values-connected steps. When I was little, I would wake up at night terrified by the idea of death. My father would comfort me with soft pats and kisses, but he would never lie. We all die, Susie, he would say. It's normal to be scared. He didn't try to invent a buffer between me and reality. It took me a while to understand the power of how he guided me through those nights. What he showed me is that courage is not an absence of fear. Courage is fear walking. Neither of us knew that in 10 short years he would be gone. And the time for each of us is all too precious and all too brief. But when our moment comes to face our fragility in that ultimate time, it will ask us, are you agile? Are you agile? Let the moment be an unreserved yes. A yes born of a lifelong correspondence with your own heart. And in seeing yourself, because in seeing yourself, you are also able to see others too. The only sustainable way forward in a fragile, beautiful world. Sawubona, and thank you.
Okay, so that was Sarah David on emotional agility. It's one of my favorite videos, but that's just like the best way to handle your emotions, because like I said at the beginning of the call, they're going to happen whether you want them to or not, whether you wish life could just stop, it doesn't stop. So the best thing to do is to realize how to handle it and how to move forward and how to have the tools at your side to walk with fear. As she said, courage is fear walking. So Maya, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Nope, you hit it right on the nail. if Sarah didn't already harp on it enough, that's really what the whole point of this call was, is that life is not going to stop, but we can change the way that we go about life. Life's going to keep moving forward, and so can we, as long as we are agile, flexible, and flowing with life, figuring out why it's happening to us, but we can ask the question why while moving forward, right?